Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the show. It's been a minute, but this is Far From Home, the podcast where we ask the big questions about life abroad, one journey at a time. And my guest today is Chris Loft. So I know Chris from before. Chris gave me some personal training at the start of my fitness journey when we were both living in Hanoi, and we kept in touch through social media sometimes over the years. And I'm quite interested to see what's going on in his life currently, the growth he's been making, and how he's enjoying living his best life, currently living in Thailand. So, welcome to the show, Chris. It's a pleasure to have you here. Would you mind kindly introducing yourself and your journey to our audience today?
Yeah, we'll do. Firstly, thanks for having me on. Like you touched on, we have known each other for a while, which is nice to have been on your journey with you. I mean, I can't remember exactly when we first met, but quite a few years ago now, isn't it? So yeah, it's an honor to come on your podcast. And I'm Chris. I am a strength and conditioning coach. I work mainly online now, and I mainly work with trail runners. Um, I moved to Vietnam how many years ago? 2013. Spent a good nine years there, and then moved to Phuket in 2022, and live here now. Um, I'm originally from England, from the south coast in Hastings, and yeah, that's it.
Yeah, very cool, very cool. Yeah, I think I arrived in Hanoi, I think it was October 2018, possibly 2019. So I think it was the year Liverpool won the Champions League. That was my first year. And yeah, I've arrived in Hanoi after living quite a carefree life in hostels around the world. I wanted a bit more routine and taking my health a bit more seriously. So yeah, I think Christ, this must be like 7 years now. We've known each other.
Wow, yeah, long
That's a
time.
that's a mad thing to. So thank you for explaining where you've come from and where you've currently been. I want to go back to the point when you first left the UK. I'm always really curious of what makes someone take the leap to move abroad, because after spending so many years living abroad, it becomes quite normalized. But in hindsight, I think it's worth remembering it is actually quite a big moment to take that leap where you say goodbye to where you're from and try
Yeah.
something new. So yeah, please could you walk us through the specific moment that made you decide, you know what, I'm just going to do it. I'm going to build a life abroad and see how it goes.
I think for me, when I look back, I definitely never felt like I belonged living in the UK. Like even when I go back to childhood, I just always don't know, it didn't feel like England was for me. And even when we used to go on holiday and then come back from holidays, like the holiday blues used to hit me so hard and it just didn't feel right. And then I think I went traveling to Southeast Asia and then it kind of just had momentum from there. I wanted to live abroad. And that was probably in my early 20s or even before that. And then I kind of planned to move abroad a few times, but then like things, girlfriends, buying houses, all these things kind of get in the way. And then you just don't do it and you put it off, put it off, put it off. And then I got to a point in my life, I think I was about 26, 27, and there was like a small window I felt of this is the time for me to move. Um, and I didn't have a plan. I just wanted to go and live abroad. And luckily, I had a friend living in Hanoi at the time. So he kind of was like an anchor of somewhere where I could go. Um, and I just left. But if I kind of try and think like what made me move abroad, I just didn't feel like I belonged living in the UK, I suppose. Um, and it wasn't like I said, it wasn't like I had a big plan or a lot of money or anything. I just thought, fuck it, like let's move abroad. And I did one way ticket. And I'm still away now, 13 years later.
Yeah, yeah. Well done. I think you're doing a great job still to this day of living life abroad. For me, I definitely relate to that feeling of never feeling like I belonged in the UK. But is in my mind, there's like some conflicting messaging going on. Well, my own perspective, because I used to tell myself growing up, I feel like I'm too British to actually live abroad. I felt quite conditioned to never even think about it. It wasn't until I was lucky enough to like experience a semester abroad at my second year of university in Germany, where I was surrounded by people that weren't from the UK. I realized, okay, there's more going on to the world than just the UK. And it kind of gave me a sense of, yeah, identity. Like, I don't belong in the UK. I want to explore more of the world to see if I can fit in better elsewhere. How would
Yeah.
that feeling with you? Yeah.
But it's weird because I was like very British in like a system, and yeah, that's where I come from. It wasn't like I was really any different, I suppose, to my friends who I was around. But there was just always this little itch to be like, let's, let's see. And my family were always very supportive, or even if they wasn't really supportive, they didn't hold me back, So, and I think that's a big thing when you're younger and you're trying to be different, where if you haven't got the people around you being supportive or at least not holding you back, then it makes it even harder, doesn't it?
Yeah, I totally agree. I had very little tie me down. I have no partner, no house. So it's a lot more easy to say, fuck it and give it a go.
Yeah.
But yeah, you also, yeah, I guess you've kind of said goodbye twice in your life, not just to the UK, but also Vietnam. Yeah, obviously we both lived in Vietnam, but I'm not currently living in Vietnam too anymore, which I've been sad about for a year or two, but I think I'm at peace with it now. But yeah, I'm curious, what made you decide to say goodbye to Vietnam and move on to Thailand? Because I think anyone who lives in this part of the world does make that comparison very quickly in their head. So is it Vietnam or Thailand I want to be in? And I'm curious how it worked for you.
If I think back to then, so I was in Hanoi for 9 years. Um, Opened a few gyms there, had good connections, good friends. It was a perfect life. Everything was really, really good. And I never thought I would actually leave Vietnam. Like that's how I used to feel. And then obviously COVID hit and it changed a lot of the circles of friends I was in. The gyms obviously got hit massively and the landscape of my life just changed a lot. And it was the first time ever I remember thinking like, I don't really want to live in Hanoi anymore. And
Mhm.
as you know, Hanoi is quite a hard city to live in. Like it's busy, it's really, really hot or really, really cold. The pollution, it is a crazy place to live, but also amazing. But I think over time and with COVID, it just kind of lost its shine a little bit for me. And I was kind of ready for a change. And I thought 9 years was enough. So early 2022, that's when we decided to leave and we were going to go back to the UK because we haven't seen our family for like 3 years or something. But that was February, and I remember speaking, being like, I don't want to go back to England in February because it's going to be cold, and I just don't want to go back then. So we delayed it, but we there wasn't really anywhere where we could go because it was still COVID and stuff. But Phuket opened up like a sandbox system because they wanted to get tourists in. So you had to jump through loads of hoops to get into Phuket. But we were like, right, let's go there. So we went there for 3 months. Wasn't planning on living here at all. Like that was never the
Hmm.
plan. It was just to come here for a holiday. And already had a flight booked to back to England. But we were here like a month, and we were like, why don't we just move here? So we went back to England, did maybe 3 or 4 months in the summer in England, and then moved back to Phuket in the August, I think, and then been here ever since. And it's amazing.
Yeah, yeah. I see you constantly posting photos of your lifestyle in Phuket. I'm quite jealous. Yeah, Phuket for me isn't one of the, like, for my personal opinion on it is, yeah, I think you've mentioned the phrase for like Thai Disneyland.
Yeah.
I'm more of a Koh Phangan kind of person myself, or Chiang Mai, but I would definitely consider Phuket if the circumstances led me that lifestyle. I would say. Um, it's interesting how you didn't plan on living there originally when you left Vietnam. I do find it kind of interesting. You just like, yeah, why don't we just live here? Um, I think there's a sense of agency that comes with a decision like that. And I think we should take a moment to recognize the place your life led you to having the confidence and the ability to make that decision. I think that's really cool. So yeah, obviously you opened up a gym in Hanoi and you moved into online work. Um, I suppose my question would be, were there any locations you were seriously thinking about before Phuket?
There was a few like floated around, but no, I don't think there was any actual one. Apart from we spoke about maybe moving to the UK, but I think that was just our COVID brains being like, maybe going home would
Mm,
be great when I don't think we really wanted to. So there wasn't really anything. I think the main thing for us, because COVID was quite hard in many, many different ways, I think we just needed to get away from Vietnam and just relax. And I
mm,
think Phuket gave us that. And then we've kind of enjoyed it even more, like living here. And I don't think Phuket is for everyone, but I think especially when you're in the health and fitness industry and you enjoy training and stuff like that, then it's a great place to live because the gyms, the outdoor life, the sea, the beach, all this stuff really plays into like a checklist of what I need in my life. And it obviously comes with negative sides. It does get really busy here in high season. A couple of areas of the island I wouldn't really go to. But overall, it's amazing. Thai people are amazing. The food's good. And visas are really easy to get here as a foreigner. You can get digital nomad visas quite easily. Um, so yeah.
yeah, Thailand is definitely in my top, say 3 or 4 countries. I love it. I go back once a year if I can. But
Yeah.
yeah, you've got the rare perspective of having lived and worked in both Vietnam and Thailand. You've probably been asked this a few times before, but what comes to mind if I ask you to compare living in Hanoi and Phuket specifically? Um, you don't have to think about the cost of essentials like the cost of eggs. Just like what comes to your mind first when you think about comparing them.
I think, I mean, I could talk about this topic all day, but I think that the main thing to point out is comparing Hanoi to Phuket is essentially like comparing London to Mallorca. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like they're relatively close, but one's a city, one's an island, etc., etc. So it's easy to say this, and this, but you are talking about very different things, especially when you talk about Phuket. Whereas if we were talking about Bangkok and Hanoi, then you probably could dive deep and, you know, and really compare in a good way and a bad way, if you get what I mean. So it's hard to, I would say, that aside, if we were just comparing, then the people in Phuket and I think in Thailand in general are just a lot more chilled and relaxed compared to Vietnamese people, especially in
mm,
Hanoi. And that's not a negative thing. That's just, I think, living in Hanoi anyway is going to make you less chilled than it is maybe living on an island or in Thailand in general. I don't know. So the people are a lot more chilled. And I would say Thai people are a bit friendlier up front but it takes you a little bit more time to get the friendliness out of Vietnamese people. And I don't mean that in a bad way at all. If anyone's spent a lot of time in Vietnam, you do have to break the ice a little bit more to really get the true kind of smiles out of Vietnamese people compared to Thai, where Thai people just lead with smile and chilledness. I would say the food in Thailand is better than Vietnamese food because you can get good Thai food everywhere. Like you could be in the middle of nowhere, get amazing Thai food. In Vietnam, you can get amazing Vietnamese food in the cities, but if you go out of a city, the food just isn't amazing. It doesn't compare to what you can get in the cities. And that's something I've noticed. When you travel around Thailand, you can just always get good food. Whereas like if you're in the middle of Pulawong somewhere in the mountains, you're getting rice and soy sauce.
yeah, yeah. Cool. I'd agree with that. Yeah, for me, I think Thailand's GDP is a lot more service and tourist based.
Yeah.
So I think that there's kind of a long history there of them needing a reason to be a bit more welcoming than the Vietnamese, perhaps. But yeah, both nations of people are quite close to my heart. I like them both.
Yeah, and that's
But
no
yeah, I think
disrespect to Vietnamese people or
yeah,
Vietnam,
no, no,
but
yeah, no, I totally agree. I like
that's just
that
what you
it
get
takes,
on there. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, I like that it takes more work sometimes to get to know the real uh person underneath. Let's say,
Yeah.
yeah, I think Vietnamese society is a lot more. Let's say, what's the word I'm looking for? more. You have to be a bit more aware of how to do business in Vietnam. Let's say we're going to move on. So the next part I really want to explore is kind of your business and fitness mindset. And so yeah, currently Phuket in particular is kind of like the mecca of digital nomad. It's certainly one of the places you put up there with like Bali or like maybe like Chiang Mai. But for someone like you, so you've established a brick and mortar adjacent business where you're working online, connecting with clients, building a client base, um, getting yourself out there. So yeah, I'm really curious to hear how you find digital nomad life combined with island life. Um, yeah, I'll let you explore it.
Good question. I mean, at first, I found it really, really difficult because I went from working with people in person, like, doing, 20, 30 hours a week, running the gyms as well. So you're very like hands on with people all the time. And that is great. And then you shift to being online and you're just in front of a laptop. You're not coaching anymore in person. You're doing lots of video calls, stuff like this. So at first I found that really hard because I forgot or I realized how important just that human connection was all the time. And I could just spend 6, 7 hours just sat on my own on my laptop, whereas I'd normally be with people. So I found that side really hard. And when I first shift, I actually went and got myself a couple of clients to just work within the gym, just to kind of get that kind of human connection. And then after a while, I just slowly enjoyed working online more and really appreciated you can just work on your laptop. Um, and not have to go into a gym and manage people and all of this stuff. It was all just done on a laptop, and it was just gave me a lot more freedom to then do what I really, really want. So how I structure my life is I always put my stuff in my calendar first, and as you know, I go on my walks in the morning, get my gym sessions done. Try and meet people as much as I can because I don't get that interaction from work anymore. And yeah, and just work on the laptop, and now it's a bit more successful. You kind of just enjoy it more anyway. I think at the beginning it was just a lot harder. So there's that element. But yeah, I think no, I don't even really like to call myself a nomad. I don't know why. I just never really have, but suppose I am. Yeah, nomad life's great because not only can you kind of plan your day better, but if I go on a trip or I go back to the UK, or even if I go on holiday, as much as I don't want to do work when I'm on holiday, nothing really has to change. I can just go back to the UK and just work on my laptop there. Whereas before, I'd have to stop with my 30 hours a week in the gym. I couldn't do any work for the gyms. And yeah, it just gives you a little bit more flexibility.
Yeah. You touched on a few points there that I want to get to later in terms of like balance and habits and yeah, being able to control your own calendar. But one final question about, I guess, working online is what's the most like surprising, I guess, kind of even obscure logistical hurdle you've been facing as you work online? Is there anything do you think would surprise our audience to hear?
I don't know. Don't actually know. I can't actually think of many hurdles, to be honest. I mean, apart from internet connection when you're doing calls, like that's a big hurdle and really annoying. Apart from at the beginning when you're trying to build the business, when you have a gym and you work in a gym and you do a good job, you generally just get clients. Like you work with one client and then he tells someone else and you just build up a client base. And when you work in person, you only need 5 clients who are doing 3 sessions a week and you've got yourself a business. Whereas online, it's slightly different. You need more numbers. So at the beginning it was quite hard to get people through the door when you've been an online when you've been an in-person PT for so long. So I found that really difficult at the beginning. But again, you just start working, you do a good job, word of mouth, get results, etc. Blah blah blah, and then you get more clients that way. So in terms of hurdles, I don't know. It runs pretty smooth. Also, because if I compare working online to like running the gyms, when you work online, you can automate things, you can have notifications like tell me when I need to send a new training program or something like that. So nothing really goes wrong. Whereas when you're working with people and people get sick at work or they forget to do something, it can be a little bit harder. So something I do really like, not an obstacle going down the other way, is the fact that things can run a lot smoother when you're online because of technology and software.
Yeah. I'm happy for you. I like that you built a life for yourself where you can seek out people who you want to work with, live at a place you really like, control your own calendar, go where you want to go, and do it in a really balanced and healthy way. Um, but yeah, I think at the core of both yours and mine identity is habits. I remember when we were both living in Hanoi. I think I read Atomic Habits. You read The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg. I think that's pronounced the
Yeah,
last name.
yeah, great book.
Yeah, Duhigg. But yeah, I recently, I think it was last year, I tried to reread Atomic Habits, and the concept still lands with me, but the book itself hasn't aged well. But yeah, you live in a tropical environment where distraction is kind of the default setting. In Phuket, you got so much amazing things around you. So I'm curious, how do you stay focused? Is there a hyper-specific, non-negotiable routine you try and stick to, or is there some particular small habits you employ to ensure your focused, high-level business, the work behind it actually gets done in a timely manner?
Yeah, good question. I think all the stuff I talk about coaching wise, habits, non-negotiables, purpose, doing what you want to do, etc. I've just applied that to myself in a business sense. So as much as I do live on a beautiful island, there are distractions, etc. I just set my day up to suit me, suit my goals and stuff like that. So yeah, it's just being, I wouldn't even say disciplined. It's just building habits. So working on your own, it can be tough because you don't have people around you and you have to motivate yourself. But when you build habits of getting my laptop out at this time and doing, 3, 4 hours of work, and you do that all the time, you just build up a habit to do it. Even if there's a beach and it's sunny and people are drinking cocktails on the beach, it doesn't, make me want to go and do it if I've got work to do. So that's one is you just wherever you live in the world, and I try to do this when I travel a lot as well, is you have non-negotiables. You go and set your laptop up on a Monday morning. It's simple. I go for a walk every morning, as you know. So yeah, it's just setting up a good routine and making sure you just stick to it. And then the distractions aren't there. But like a caveat to that, when you do live in a tropical place, the the beauty of it does dampen a little bit because it's there all the time. You know what I mean? So sometimes you find yourself and you don't go to the beach for 2 weeks because it's just there all the time. So from the outside, it might seem like how could you live on an island? And it's like, well, it doesn't. It loses its shine a little bit. I would say,
Yeah. The special, if we do it every day, no longer becomes special. It
yeah,
just becomes normal, which is yeah, I guess a very lucky place to be in life
yeah, exactly.
for people to,
But it's still amazing. It's not like I'm not happy with it or don't appreciate a sunset.
yeah,
It's just on your doorstep. So yeah,
yeah. Life still goes on, the little things,
yeah.
the work, the hard work, yeah, the introspection, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, I'm curious. Have you established an Ashton Hall style morning routine to keep yourself on track? You're drowning yourself in a bucket of water
No,
first thing in the morning?
my morning routine is a cup of English breakfast tea, and a walk on the beach, if that counts. Um, but yeah, as you know, if you follow me every morning, I'd get up and go for a walk on the beach or just around. Set the day up, try and keep away from my phone for a bit. Um, have a glass of water. I won't stick my face in iced water, but
Yeah.
but yeah, starting the morning well. I think that's good to do for anyone, especially if you're looking to improve your health and stuff like that.
Yeah. I do have a bit of morning routine. Um, but yeah, we were talking about, on Monday, you still need to open your laptop up. Yeah, for me, Monday has become like a source of comfort, I guess. There's a stereotype of, nobody looks forward to Mondays. Especially as a teacher, we get what's in the industry called like Sunday scaries, where the Sunday you're like, oh God, do I have to go in again and face the music? But yeah, for me, Monday has become, especially in the last few years, it's become such a routine where I know, okay, Monday morning, I want to be up. I want to follow my routine. I want to get stuck into my work. And then after Monday, go straight to the gym. So I start the week off strong, focusing on my health. But yeah, like you mentioned, I think going for a walk before you even look at your phone screen is that Andrew Huberman thing. Sunlight before screen light. That's definitely a huge benefit for me, getting a morning walking. I try and alternate between morning walks and stretching. And yeah, I've started journaling. I don't know if this is something you've ever considered doing. Currently
Nice,
doing 366 days of the Daily Stoic.
nice.
Bought a few other journals to try after this one finishes. But yeah, for me, I found writing my thoughts out in the morning to be a huge game changer. I'm curious if you've ever tried it or experimented with it.
I do what I write down one great thing what happened to me every day. So in my notes every evening, I just go in there and write down one great thing what happened, and that could be, I don't know, I took on a new client, or one of my clients won a race, or it could be the lady in the cafe smiled at me. It could be any small thing, but it just brings your mindset into positivity every evening. And I've been doing it since June, and the more you do it, the more you can scroll back and look, and it just brings a lot more positivity to my life. So I really recommend that to people. Just simple one line, can just be in your notes on your phone, and you will always find something which has been great for you that day. So yeah, that's good. I have journaled a little bit here and there, like a bit more in depth, but I don't know, it just feels someti it just feels like another thing which I need to add then to my million things. But I think it's a great tool, journaling, writing stuff down, it's good.
Yeah. Um, yeah, again, we're hinting at balance here. We're going to get to that very, very soon. Um, but you also mentioned like living by your purpose. And that's something I've been exploring the last 2 years to be living in China. Been undergoing, I've had like therapy for an extended period recently in Shanghai. Um, yeah, like one of my questions this morning was, do my principles show themselves in my life? And since I've become a lot more self-assured and more secure in my own identity, I'm able to talk with the conviction that I know what I'm about, that I know what I want to do on this earth, that I know what I want to do in this limited amount of time. Yeah, maybe you can relate to someone who works in the fitness industry. I'm sure you would say your identity is helping people, help people improve their lifestyle. It's translated into not just my personal life, but my career too. Uh, Recently joined a new school. The confidence that I've brought as a teacher to a new environment, I'm quite surprised even myself. Yeah, I think there's something to be said for knowing your values and exploring life through those values. Because it makes it a lot easier to say no when something is not in line with your values. So for me at work, it would be running an event that wouldn't be in my personal interests as a teacher. So yeah, I'm curious, when you think about your approach to life, what are your values, and do you frame things through trying to align with those values?
Yeah, I think one of a big purpose of mine is obviously helping people. I think if I wasn't, like, let's say I just had another job earning double the amount of money, let's say, I
Mm.
would never feel fulfilled. Like, I think I need to be helping people on a daily basis. So that would definitely be mine. I also think that I my purpose was to like compete and or back in the day anyway, play football and do marathons and take on like challenges. And I think something which is really interesting over the last kind of maybe 4 years, where I've worked more in the athlete world, helping athletes, is I've realized that I don't need to be competing anymore. People under my guidance or coaching, they need to be. And I get that through them. So helping someone to then go and perform in a race or whatever it may be is something which gives me a lot of purpose and kind of comes into my values, I suppose, because it comes into the helping side. So yeah. And then in terms of just how I lead my life in terms of health and stuff. Like health for me is everything. Like if you're not working on your health, then you're probably not going to be at your happiest there and then. And I think health is this thing where we often look for health so we can live a longer life. And as much as that is a small part for me, it's more just living the day to day as healthy, as active as and as happy as you can be. So that's why when I put stuff in my calendar, I put myself in there first because although I like to help other people, coach other people, I'm number one. I have to be number one because if I'm not, then I can't help other people. So yeah, one of my big values in life is is living a healthy life. But that
Mm.
does come with a bit of balance because to be fully healthy, you need to be physically healthy and you need to be mentally healthy. And sometimes the things what make us happy and maybe help our mental health might not always be the best for your physical health.
Yeah, yeah. I really relate to that, making health as a high priority. Especially in the last few years on my fitness journey. I started my fitness journey quite late, towards my late 20s, because it is a source of, well, I'm at peace with it. But it does make me wonder in hindsight why it took me so long to get into fitness when now it's become such a big part of my own identity. Um,
Why do you
but
think that
yeah,
was?
lack of education, definitely. Grew up in South Wales. You can't really be what you can't see. Nobody ever really talked to me about it when I was younger, and I just never really thought about it. My longevity, in a sense. Now I'm a lot more educated on my health, my finances, and my career. But yeah, it is a bit of a shame because I think I could have even competed with my mindset and my really positive approach to fitness now. But yeah, I want to get back to the idea of balance. How is your relationship with alcohol these days?
Good question. I have a very good relationship with alcohol. I do enjoy a beer, a nice beer, a good IPA or something. I do like a glass of wine. I do like a cocktail. The list goes on. But the main thing is moderation and not letting it get in the middle of something I want to achieve work wise or with my goals. And I think I am just very lucky I have a good relationship with it. You know, it's never affected me negatively, apart from the odd horrible hangover, let's say. But I like to be able to balance stuff like alcohol or anything which isn't optimal for our health, because you can still have that in
Mm.
your life and still be a very, very healthy person. So the obviously the issues come if I was drinking too much and it was affecting other things. But I like the fact that you can do both if you work at it. And I don't think everyone maybe can have alcohol in their life and pick and choose when they have it. I think culturally, sometimes it's normal to drink all the time, all weekends, as you probably know people who do.
Mm.
So, yeah, being a health person and working in the world of sport, I still think we can enjoy the odd glass of wine or two. Um, so, yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Power to you. If you enjoy it, I mean, go for it. Yeah, I'm currently on my own journey with alcohol. I'm approaching 3 years no alcohol right now.
nice.
I am, yeah, it's been great. I've finished 2 degrees, started a little online business, this podcast. Uh, Everything is, my health and my finances are great. It's been a complete game changer for me. Um, but yeah, in the interest of like balance and moderation, it took me a while to keep finding community. Now I moved drinking from my life. I did find that in sports clubs, meeting people through run clubs. Um, but yeah, again on the power of balance, I was thinking while you were talking about alcohol, I was thinking, I guess, my own unhealthy addiction to travel. Before I moved to Vietnam, I was traveling way too much and not putting my healthy into any consideration in the part of it. Uh, but yeah, as a teacher, we get long summer breaks, and I used to dread stepping on the scales, especially after summer or even a weekend trip away during a national holiday. But yeah, I'm at a place now where I do feel balance. I'm at peace with where I am with my health and my fitness. And I know that even if there's an outlier in the form of a weekend away somewhere really cool, I'm not going to punish myself in my mind for indulging, because I know my habits over the long period of time I give myself, they're going to keep me grounded, keep me where I want to be, and push back any effects that come as a disruption to my routine over time.
That's good. So how do you feel with not drinking for 3 years? Do you feel like you're missing out at all? Is there like some kind of connection you might be missing? Or yeah, like stuff like that. Like if you're gonna go and watch football and a few lads are having a couple of pints, like how do you feel in that world?
Uh, so yeah, obviously I'm a big fan of Liverpool. I try and watch the games at the pub every week to try and be a bit outgoing and meet people, especially like the communities abroad, being a Liverpool fan. But no, I'm more than happy to sit down with a Diet Coke or a water, and I can still be a football geek and get what I want out of it. Just talk about
That's
football,
good.
enjoy what's going on in the game. So for me, that's not really a problem. Um, yeah, in Vietnam, I would say the nightlife is a bit more freer than China. I do miss that side of it where I can still go out sober and feel like I could have a good time. In China, it's more, especially in Shanghai, there's a lot of like rooftop bars. It's a bit more image based and alcohol is a center of it. I didn't really enjoy it that much, but I didn't feel like I was missing anything. I still went home with a smile on my face, like, okay, it was good. I'm glad I went. Glad I saw it. Um, yeah, obviously being British, drinking is a part of how we make friends and establish community abroad. There are days when I feel like, oh, I really like to go out with a group of people. And when I indulge in that kind of thought, I regret it very quickly and find myself wanting to leave like 10 minutes into the night out when everyone's just getting plastered. Uh, but for me, yeah, it's more about quality over quantity, if that may say. I would rather have like a really good chat on a podcast or like a coffee with like one to one with a really good friend than being out with a large group of drunk expats. I found peace with it. It took a bit of experimentation.
That's good.
But yeah, I have rather thought recently of drinking on special occasions. You know, having like a toast with a friend I haven't seen in like a year, kind of make it a bit more special. But that's a very small thought. That's I'm very comfortable in not drinking ever again. I'm the best I've ever felt. I'm the strongest I've ever felt. I have the most agency in my life, even possibly one of the. I attribute my habit of reading to having the most impact, the most positive impact on my life. I think giving up alcohol is easily up there.
Yeah.
No
That's
regrets. Would
good.
recommend.
Like I think because I would say I'm teetotal like 75% of the time, let's say, and I would drink once a month and enjoy that. And I think it's definitely taken me a long time to get to that point because I'm not going to drink today and nothing could really pull me into that. Like if someone turned around and was like, "Do you want to go out for a few beers?" I'd just be like, "No, I've made the decision not to, and I won't." But if there was like something planned, then I might. And I think it's interesting once you realize how good you can feel from not drinking, and the more productive you are, and etc. 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 It does kind of pull you that way. And I think for me, having long stints from not drinking has then made it easier for me to then balance it and just pick and choose when I do because I still really enjoy it.
Mhm.
Like to think to myself, I would never drink again would be like, well, why? Because it doesn't affect me negatively, if you get what I mean. So, but I think it's great that there is more of a narrative that people aren't drinking, but as long as they still get in connection and stuff, because although alcohol in itself isn't, there's no health benefits physically to drinking. We know that. But if you're not getting connection by going out and talking to people and interacting and chatting up girls, if you're a young lad and you're just at home not drinking, then which one is better? Do you know what I mean? So I think
Yeah,
it's
I
good
totally
that
agree.
you still have good purpose and you're still going out and doing what you need to do.
Yeah, I mean, it's helped my dating life hugely. Like my confidence, like when you don't have alcohol to have that Dutch courage, you have to develop natural confidence, and yeah, it's translated well into my dating life, my personal
Yeah.
life, my professional life. Yeah, I kind of wish I realized this a lot sooner in life.
I think something you keep mentioning about this, about like finding health a bit later and stuff. I think you obviously found it at the right time for you, you know? And if you look on your whole life, let's say you live to 90 and you found it when you
Mm,
were 25 or whatever it was, then you were still quite young when you
mm.
came to these points. So I think everything happens for a reason, right? And you found it at the right times and you're, building on it. And I think that the great thing with you is you look at things for me in the right way. You analyze stuff and you do build on them over time. You've done that with your health. You've mentioned your education and business and stuff and work. So yeah, it's good, mate. It's good.
Yeah, there's a line I like. We are who we were. We had to be who we were to be who we can be today. I think I
Yeah.
misquoted that terribly, but yeah, that's a
I know what you mean though. Yeah.
that's a line that's brought me a lot of peace in recent years. Um, but yeah, I want to get back to the idea of balance. There's this quote I really liked. Um, yeah, this will kind of lead on to like the fitness image, I suppose. So I've read this stat recently. Approximately 80% of US households are millionaires, according to the Federal Reserve's 2022 survey. The percentage of the population with visible six-pack abs is significantly lower. Would you like to take a guess on the percentage of people who have six-pack abs in the US?
Two.
Yeah, well, yeah, 1 to 2%. You are statistically, you are more likely to become a millionaire in the US than have visible six-pack abs. And
Wow.
the reason I mention this is because as part of my own fitness journey, it took me quite a while to stop comparing myself to what I see on social media and stop beating myself up and having that self-judgment and that vicious cycle. Because I realized, like, even when you step in the gym, very few people are on that level. But you look at your phone, that's all you see from fitness influencers. So I think it's worth taking a pause and recognizing that, wherever you come from in life, we're all different parts of a fitness journey. Even if you have like muscles, you have a gym body. If you don't, you still have a gym body. What's the most important thing is keeping that routine going and being mindful of it and trying to take control of your health. Yeah, the downstreams of it are amazing. You get a sense of agency, you get a sense of power, your confidence just goes through the roof. So yeah, I would say it's very important when people enter a fitness journey to try and give them peace with their expectations. And I think that will stop them causing so much pain in their own minds.
For sure. Like 100%. Because if you are comparing yourself to kind of what's being promoted, then you're probably never going to be happy. But again, I think that always just circles back to like your purpose and what you truly want. And that I had this epiphany many, many years ago when I first started in the fitness industry. And I've had visible abs probably twice in my life. It's not something I would chase because I don't really care. And it took me a while to just be at peace to be like, I thought that being in the fitness industry, I should have abs and everyone's going to expect me to. But do I really want them? No. Do I really care? No.
Mm,
And came to that realization I didn't really want them. And I think that's an important thing when people are on their fitness journey is to live their own fitness journey. And you can compare yourself to whoever you like, but you still just need to understand like what do you actually want? Like, do you want
mm.
abs? And if you do, then compare yourself to the guy with abs and work towards that. But if you actually don't, then what are you doing? And it's interesting you use the millionaire kind of comparison because imagine if we did do that with money all the time. You just
Yeah.
looked at your phone, it's like, oh, I'm not a millionaire today. And it, you know, got in your own head. It just wouldn't, would it? So
Yeah,
yeah,
be kind to yourself is the
exactly.
overall message. But yeah, I like the idea of values. 'Cause for me, I'm really happy with where I currently am on my fitness journey. I feel at peace. I have balance in my life. My fitness lines up with my professional life and my hobby of traveling around the world. I feel like I can live a very long, healthy life, a very long, healthy, happy life. Yeah, I'm curious because for me, it's about values again, trying to find that balance between values. Because I do take pleasure in helping people. That's the side of me as a teacher. But I do really value feeling the best I can feel. But in my industry, international education, there's a habit of large corporations coming in, buying the schools and working the teachers to the bones. Even back in the UK, there's not really a recruitment crisis as much as a retention crisis. The system just burns through teachers. So for the first time, because I've worked really hard on my career lately, I'm in a very lucky position where I can get job offers from really wonderful places of education that take care of me quite well. But for the first time, I've had the thought of like leaving teaching because I'm thinking, how sustainable is teaching really? In line with my value of trying to prioritize my health. Currently, it works, but teaching is like it doesn't stay consistent for years and years and years, and it could very easily change. Um, so I'm curious. Obviously, you've coached a lot of people who have been teachers, obviously working abroad. Has there ever been like a client you've worked with who's had this realization? Okay, I've been a teacher. I'm prioritizing my health a little bit more, and my values of helping people, wanting to grow and wanting to learn. Have you coached anyone who's kind of left teaching? Have they had like a mindset change that drastic, or where they prioritize health that much? Have they changed their careers to fit this new mindset?
Good question. I'm not sure. I've definitely trained a few people who've then become personal trainers. Like that's
Mm,
happened, but I don't think they were in the teaching world. See, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. But one thing I would say, because I mean, not really now. I don't really teach, coach many teachers, if any. But back in the day, especially in Hanoi, a big chunk would have been teachers, and it does just seem like hard work.
yeah,
You
it's
know,
hard.
it feels like energy zapping, you know, and that's just a
Mm,
broad kind of thought on it. But yeah, it must be a tricky one. I mean, most jobs obviously would come with stress and everything, right? And then to
mm,
balance that with health it can be difficult. You know, that's what my job can be sometimes is to help people balance it. But I think if you're having that feeling that teaching is a bit much, then that would kind of tell me that, yeah, maybe it's time, maybe not to jump ship now, but to plan for something else. Maybe it's podcasting. Maybe you're going to become, you know, the next big podcaster, hopefully. But
yeah, I'll move to Phuket. Come the Joe Rogan of Phuket.
but yeah, if I mean, I would say to anyone who this comes from a very kind of maybe privileged place because I have created a job where I'm really happy with my job. I love my job. My job's everything. It's great. So it's easy for me to maybe sit here. But I do think we should be doing a job which fires us up on a daily basis or most days. And it does
Mm,
give people purpose. Because if not, what are we doing? You know, we need to live our
mm.
life with a little bit more purpose and stuff. Again, caveat to that, I understand I'm in a very privileged position doing a job I love, and it might not be as easy for everyone to, but I do think we should all plan for the perfect job down the road.
Yeah, there are no perfect situations in life, only trade offs. Yeah, I do consider teaching a passion of mine. I'm at the point now where I'm really confident as an educator. I know the effect I could bring, the impact I can have on my students. I take real pride and pleasure in it. So it's not like it's all, I'm going to quit next year and so be it. But yeah, there is a seed that has been planted. I'm thinking, okay, what if I did explore another avenue that would let me devote more time to focusing on my health? Yeah, my next question, I guess, is like, do you have an emergency plan? Because obviously take my own journey with growth has been like professional, personal, relationships, finance is definitely a pillar that I consider part of growth. Um, but yeah, I've worked really hard. I'm at the point now, which I'm quite lucky to say, I can survive most foreseeable disasters, barring severe illness. But yeah, my emergency plan would be to book a flight to Thailand, try work online, and while I'm trying to build up wherever I want to do online, I'd be filling up my days like Muay Thai and fitness, go to gyms. Yeah. Do you have something like that in the back of your head? You think, if anything goes wrong, you know what? I've always got this safety net that gives you comfort.
I mean, I think working online, especially the way I do, it's a kind of big safety net anyway. Like I said,
Mm,
like I can work anywhere. So if I needed to go back to the UK for something, um, it wouldn't change my work. I wouldn't be able to go to as many races I go to. So I do travel to a lot of races these days with clients. So I think working online is a big safety net. But no, I mean I invest and save if that comes into it, just in case something happens. But I think a lot of the time it's again, this maybe comes from a bit more of a privileged place as well, but because I don't have children or anything. I haven't got anyone I need to um, look after or anything apart from Fiona, but she can kind of look after herself as well. But I think sometimes it's good to not have a plan B, is to
Mm.
go, what I'm doing is going to work and I'm just going to keep working on it until it works and works and works and works. Um, so yeah,
Yeah, that's a bit of wisdom from Gary Neville's time at Valencia, I think.
yeah.
He said the best coaches, they don't have plan Bs, plan Cs. They just work on making plan A better and better and better.
But I think also, I think I've, when I look back on my career of working and stuff, I feel like I did my work in the UK and then I was in Vietnam for 10 years doing that bit of work. And I feel like I'm in just this new era of work where I would say, I mean, I'm only 41, but I feel like I've done the hard yards, and now I can just focus on this bit more
Mm.
where I where it's I wouldn't say it's easier because my job isn't easy per se, but it it can be because I can just work from my laptop. So because of that, I can have a chilled life. I can go for a walk when I want. If I've got an appointment, I can go to the and I, I can just manage my life easier. And I think I'm coming into that as I get older. Um,
Mm.
so yeah, that's how I feel about that side of things.
Yeah, it's like you've allowed yourself to arrive. You feel like you're enough after all the hard work you've done. Um,
Yeah, basically that's how it feels. That Vietnam was amazing. The gyms were amazing. Everything I did in that world, it's kind of yeah. Like, could I go and do 30 hours a week on the gym floor? I don't think I could. I think I've moved out of that now. It's a young
mm,
man's game, as my dad would say. So yeah, that's where I am.
yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I think one more question about let's say fitness and um, what I'm thinking now about people we follow online. I'm a big fan of the YouTuber Joe Delaney. I think he's a British. Yeah, I think he's British. Should be British. He's recently posted a video about personal training as a business and how it can get quite lucrative over time. Because I know a lot of personal trainers now work online, especially it seems like more and more over the last few years. Um, yeah, not going to try and pry into your financial situation, uh, but I'm curious. Do you find personal training online allows you to hit every financial goal you set yourself? It could be in the form of you feeling comfortable traveling multiple times in a year to wherever you want to go, to friends' weddings, to see your family. It could be like, purchasing property, retiring early. Retiring early is something that's on my mind lately. I want to retire at 50, and teaching abroad does allow for that if I continue to work hard and stay in the industry. But again, it's balancing up with all like my value of health. But yeah, I'm currently exploring in my own mind my potential financial ceilings as a teacher compared to working online or even personal training. Yeah, what's your journey been with finance and living abroad?
Um, so I think that the biggest difference between working in person and online, if we don't take the gyms into consideration because that's kind of a slightly different income. But
Mm.
when you work in person, you're only one person and you only can do a certain amount of hours per week and you can only charge a certain amount per session. Depending on where you live in the world, that can be a little bit different. I think I was quite lucky in Hanoi that a lot of my clients were earning good money and you could charge all right money. But you're still stuck at only earning a certain amount and that's it.
Mm.
And it was a good wage, especially for Hanoi. When you compare it to working online, if you set your business up correctly, then you can scale it a lot easier because
Mm.
you can take on 100 clients, let's say, and as long as you can manage it correctly, then you can earn a lot more money than you would on the gym floor, for example. Um, Depending on how you want to do it. If you have to do lots of calls, then that limits it a bit more as well. But you can build it so people still get their result, what they want. That's the main thing. but it doesn't always take loads of your time like it would an hour in the gym.
Yeah, or 12-hour days in a school,
Yeah,
or 14 hours in a
exactly.
school. 50, yeah.
Um,
Um,
so my kind of approach is like a little bit hybrid because I work with some quite high level athletes. You can't just put them on a basic plan and just let them get on with it. They need to be a bit more hands on. So a lot of my clients I work with quite in depth and we have calls and we chat a lot and there's a lot more to it. And then some are on, let's say, like lower paid programs where they still get my time, but just maybe not as much. And I like the kind of hybrid because it still gives me time to coach people well, but also I can still have a lot of clients where they don't need my time and you can still develop the business in that way.
yeah, sure. Yeah, I guess, there's a Tim Ferriss 4-hour work week in there. You diversify your income streams. You're enjoying the flexibility to keep it interesting and your mind sharp. Um, yeah, I think you've got a really good way of going about it. I want to move on now to kind of introspection. So we've both lived abroad for quite a long time now. You mentioned you moved abroad in 2013. I left the UK in 2015. Uh, 2013 was the year I studied abroad. I went back to finish my degree and then left as quick as I could. But I guess, was there ever a moment you came close to? We briefly touched on COVID before, but I don't think you went back to Manchester. You went back to the UK. Maybe you did. Yeah, let's explore it. Was there ever a moment you came close to calling it quits, to thinking, okay, maybe living abroad isn't for me, and maybe staying back in the UK might be the more beneficial option moving forward?
Good question. I would say overall, no, like not at all. The only time, like we touched on before, was the COVID time was a conversation we had. And I think that was more just because it would have felt a lot safer just moving home. We hadn't seen family and stuff, but I don't actually think it was a real thought. The only time I ever did feel like moving back to the UK was maybe 2 months after I moved to Hanoi. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
felt I didn't enjoy Hanoi when I first moved there. It was really hard to kind of settle in. I lived down in Dong Da. I was away from staff. It was just really overwhelming. And I remember thinking then, oh, maybe I should just go back to the UK. But apart from that, never. And I think maybe you feel like this when you spend so much time abroad, like your views obviously change, but also, like for me, like Hanoi is just as much home as the UK. So if I ever think to myself, oh, I want to move back home, that could be Hanoi, if that makes sense. So I've been
Mm-hmm.
away, I think, for so long, I don't really see like the UK as home. Like it's one of my homes, but it's not home. And the longer I'm in Phuket, the more I think about Phuket being a home. So yeah, like the question is always, would you ever think about like jumping ship and going back to the UK? Where I think when you've lived in a place for a long time, it's like, did you ever think about moving back to Hanoi? Because that comes up in my head maybe more than it would the UK.
Yeah, so I've thought about this question myself, and the answer has always been a strong no for me. Even the times when my mental health was like really bad, living in Japan and Brazil, or yeah, during COVID, or having to go back. Anyone who started off teaching English knows getting qualified is a massive pain, and some people do go back to the UK to get qualified. But yeah, for me, I'm from a very small Welsh village. There's no opportunities there. I would be severely depressed immediately upon settling back in. But yeah, I like the idea of abroad. Places abroad feel more like home now to you. Yeah, if I've ever found myself in an emergency, like for me, like Thailand feels like more of a home than Wales right now. Tao Dien in Saigon, that feels more like a home. Rio de Janeiro, haven't been back there in like, well, much longer than I would have hoped, but yeah, that feels more like home in the UK right now. But yeah, I also really like that you said it took you a while to settle into Hanoi. Um, because I find when I have like a one-to-one conversation with a lot of like men in particular, uh, when we talk about periods of adjustment, living abroad. When I first moved to Bangkok, this was I think 2000 late 2015, possibly early 2016, it's quite a while ago. I spent the first like day and a half just in bed in a hostel, and I physically couldn't get out. I was really shocked by this because on the flight over, I was like, I could have fucking wait to get to like Thailand and see everything it had to offer. And my friend, also from Hanoi, spoke about the time he moved to Japan. obviously Japan is one of the coolest destinations in all our minds. And he got there and he spent like the first week just locked in his apartment. What do you think caused this? Because in hindsight, I've considered myself a person who's very quick to adapt. But for like a day and a half, I just couldn't get out of bed trying to get in my mind that I'm in a new country. I have to build a whole new life. So it just felt kind of like overwhelming. It didn't stay with me for long, but it was there. It's a thing that happens. I'm
Yeah, for
curious how,
sure.
how you deal with that. Yeah.
I think yeah, one of the that's just jogged my mind. I think yeah, when I moved to Hanoi, it took me I would say probably 6 months to like really feel settled. And then even when I moved to Phuket, so leaving England, moving to Hanoi is always going to be hard, right? But it was just as hard, if not harder, to move from Hanoi to Phuket because I felt like I sacrificed more leaving Hanoi than I did England. England was kind of easy to leave. But then when I moved to Phuket, it probably took a year to settle in, I would say.
Mm,
And I remember thinking, like, why is this taking so long? Why don't I feel at home here? Why is it so difficult? Like, I wanted to leave Hanoi, and Phuket's amazing. We'd go and walk on the beach, go and swim in the sea, eat the food, all the good stuff. I never felt like comfortable for the first year. And I think it's really important for people to understand that. Like, even though you've made the big decision and you're doing this amazing thing and it probably is right, doesn't always feel right. And I feel like so many people must leave to move abroad, do 2 months or 3 months, say, I don't like it, this doesn't feel right, I'm homesick, jump ship, go back home and go, well, I tried. Which fair play for people for trying, because that's the main step is go and try. It
mm,
sometimes takes a little bit longer than you think. And if I always went off my gut instincts, I wouldn't have stayed in Hanoi and I definitely wouldn't have stayed in Phuket. And they're two
mm.
places which for me have been amazing for everything. So yeah.
Yeah, you got to give it time. But yeah, I think Phuket I would describe as having a revolving door of people, let's say. People come and go quite easily. So I'm curious how that's changed your understanding or even definition of friendship. How has your sense of friendship evolved since you've been living in such a transient, high turnover environment?
Good question. Very good question. I think when people live in Hanoi, they talk about Hanoi being transient. And that's like because people come for 2 years and then leave. Phuket is people come in for 3 months and leave, 6 months
Yeah,
and leave. Like the turnover's huge and it's real transient, not Hanoi transient.
yeah.
So
There are
the
levels
main
to
thing for
transient.
me, yeah, the main thing for me is you you have to put yourself out there to make
Mm,
friends. The pool of people isn't as big. I also feel like people aren't looking to make friends as much as they are in Hanoi. I feel like when you're in Hanoi, it's really easy to make friends. Um, Everyone's in the same boat. Everyone's out their comfort zone. I don't feel like that's the same in Phuket. There's so much going on that people don't need friends as much, I feel. But the way I've dealt with it, even when I was in Hanoi as well, is to put yourself about, join a gym, go and play football, get a few lads, who like going to watch the football and have little pockets of friends. And if you've got good connections and good relationships with people, even if they do leave and come back, it kind of makes it a little bit more special because they're coming back each time. So yeah, but it has been a little bit challenging. But I think again, understanding your purpose and what you want to do
mm,
makes that a bit easier because I have my routines, I have my work, I have everything set up. I don't have as many friends as I would if I was in Hanoi, but I do still have good friends. But if people are in a similar position, then for me, it's putting yourself out there. And that's why the
yeah.
gyms and stuff here for me are so important because I don't, let's say, always need the gym to motivate me to train because I generally can just train. But the thing I really value from the gyms here is the little communities of people who you meet and stuff.
Mm. Yeah, my I think view of relationships and friendships and connections has changed recently. Could be described as masking the idea of networking as a friendship. But you mentioned you need to put yourself out there. Yeah, that's part of the reason I made this podcast because I like teaching, but it's just one of my interests, and I have lots of interests I wish to explore outside of that. But it is quite hard when you live in a place like Ningbo. Most people I mentioned I live in Ningbo, they're like, where? I have to kind of caveat, oh, it's next to Shanghai. Um, but yeah, I find especially as you enter, you move out your 20s and into your 30s, especially when you give up alcohol, the idea of friendship is of just like sitting in a pub, talking about what's going on in your life. That's long gone for me. But I also really like what you said about knowing your values and your purpose, because I find my purpose of helping others through education, my values of like self-worth with my ability to like improve my fitness and my health in the gym or save money and be smart investing. I find just connections come about from downstream from knowing your identity, pursuing your interests. I find connections come out a lot more naturally. And that's been quite a big game changer for me, being secure in who I am, mentioning what I like, why I'm here, why I'm attending these places, where I'm trying to get out of it. I find that's a really easy way to, in some ways, it's easier to make friends than ever before. I find like, but am I just masking that as just networking? I don't think so, because I in my experience, like genuine friendships, deeper relationships have come about as a result of that. Would you agree?
Yeah. Yeah. I think culturally, like you're right, like your friends are the people you go down the pub with and stuff, right? Like that's as you get to an adult, that's kind of who your friends are. A lot of them are. I think, especially when you live abroad, you find friendships and connection in all areas, right? It's not just the people you go to the pub with or whatever. I do still think it's important to have different types of friends. Like I've still
Mm.
got lads who will go and sit in the pub, watch the football, and that's cool. I have my fitness friends, I have my running friends, I have other friends, and I think it's good to, don't know, diverse yourself a little bit in your friend circles. There's nothing wrong talking about football and stuff, but you wouldn't want it to just be the conversation. It's good to have different conversations with different people. So yeah. So how
Yeah.
do you find that the fitness industry is good where you are and to make friends as well, or is it strictly you just go there and work out?
In Saudi, yeah, it was great. I joined Hustle for example. I used to go there before work. Towards a few months before I started to leave Vietnam. Shanghai was a little bit tough because my school was on the outskirts, and so all that kind of fitness stuff was in the center of the city, which just made it impossible to get to and back in time for work. But it was there. There are places like F45. Fitness industry is still growing, I think. I find it surprisingly difficult to find a gym that opened before 10 a.m. Near where I lived. That's you think that's at this point in 2025, that's just kind of the standard. There are people who want to get a workout in before work, but even in Shanghai, I find that quite difficult. In Ningbo, love my new gym. It's great. It doesn't open. It still opens at 10 a.m., not 6 a.m. Um, but yeah, I've got into the habit of, I'm still trying to get in the habit of running marathons, joining running clubs. Joined the running club in Shanghai, met friends there. There's a BJJ club I want to get into here. But again, it just takes time and try to work it into your routine. But yeah, I think compared to, yeah, this is again one of the things I'm thinking about in my mind. If health is becoming my number one priority in life, would it not make sense to move somewhere and work online where there are more options available, like Thailand, for example, where it's becoming more and more part of especially among young people, their identity. Um, but yeah, I mean, right now I'm a balance with it and a piece of it. I still have all the tools I need to live a long and healthy life. But yeah, it is something I'm starting to think about when I move abroad. Like, what is a place that allows me to network through fitness, meet new people through fitness, build relationships through fitness, and yeah, just try something new with fitness. Yeah.
I think that's why I live in Phuket is because of that side of things. Like I don't think Phuket's the best place to live maybe overall, but it runs in line with my spoke about my values and what I want. And I always say to people, when I'm in Phuket, Phuket decides if I train, and when I'm not in Phuket, I decide if I'm going to train. Even though I would train if I was anywhere else in the world, because that's what I do, I still have to make a conscious decision. Like if I'm in the UK, I have to go like, right, I need to now walk to the gym and it's going to be cold and I have to do it and, blah, blah, blah. When I'm in Phuket, just go. Like it doesn't. The habit is so ingrained. I've never lived in a place where it just pulls me to the gym 3-4 times a week.
Mm.
So I think that's one of the reasons why I just love. I don't have to think about my health at all. Like Phuket just takes care of it. That's the only way I can kind of describe it here. Which
Yeah, that's
yeah.
quite cool. Yeah, I'm quite jealous
And
of all
when
your
you're
gym
and when it
photos.
I do
I am quite jealous of all the gyms you go to in Phuket. They look amazing.
yeah.
So the
So
cult,
like
I noticed you go there a lot.
yeah, I was at the Cult this morning. They're just fantastic gyms. They're equipped well. They're not that expensive. Um, and the communities they create, they really, especially the Cult, they really focus on community. They really make you feel part
Mm.
of the gym. Um, and when health and training stuff is so high up on your list, it's so nice to not have to think about it because it's just gets done. And then that gives me more kind of time and brain space to think about work and stuff I need to think a bit more about. So I really value that.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed incorporating fitness into my travels, like traveling away for like a half marathon or even just like a 10K run in the next city over, just to give yourself
Nice.
a little bit of a mini holiday. But yeah, I like trying new gyms now. Also, I find that really fun, and you do, yeah, get to say hello to meet new people who have the same values as you. Focusing on health and fitness. Um, so yeah, do recommend if you're on a holiday, go to the gym.
I also
Um,
think now something I've noticed about like gym people is I've been obviously going to the gym for 20 years, 25 years. Gym people were a certain type of person. And this is just not 100% real, but you wouldn't really want to talk to the people in gyms. They wouldn't be your people, if you're like a normal person. But as time's gone on, like everyone goes to the gym. So the sort of people who are going to the gym are just normal people who now go to the gym, not people who that's just their identity and they're just gym people and they don't really have much else. And I think
mm,
that's something which is really valuable and good for people to hear if they don't go to the gym and then they class themselves as not gym people. But the people who go to gyms these days are just normal people who have started to go to the gym. And I think that's really important for people to know if
yeah,
if they struggle and don't go to the gym.
yeah, especially when you're new to the gym. The gym is quite an intimidating place to step into.
Yeah,
Um, but it does feel like the industry is becoming a lot more welcoming to newcomers, especially in the age of like social media.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's cool to see. Yeah, one more question, I guess, in the introspection part of this podcast. You have maintained, seemingly a very strong long-term relationship whilst living abroad. Complete opposite to me. I've been single my entire time abroad. So I'm curious, what's the specific, maybe often overlooked maintenance that you do? Are there like small daily habits you do that keep your relationship going strong?
Good question. So yeah, Fiona and I have been together 8 years, so it's definitely a good shift.
Mm,
We're just both very lucky at we sing from the same hymn sheet. Like everything I want in life, she wants in life. Everything she wants in life, I want in life. So it makes it a lot easier that we're
mm.
on very similar paths. So for me, that's number one. Well, apart from loving each other and actually liking each other, that's obviously important. But apart from that stuff, because hopefully most people love and care about their partner, but you have to be on the same page. If you're not on the same page, and the friction's just always gonna change and gonna get in the way of things. So yeah, we're just lucky we're on the same page. Number one. And then, yeah, number two, you know, making sure that you are being a good partner, you
Mm.
are scheduling dates and you are putting your phone away when you eat your dinner and you do give each other what they need and support. So, yeah, I think the fact we're abroad doesn't really make much difference because you're on the same page. But
Mm.
I think in this day and age, it's about just giving each other their their full self all the time and not just staring at your phone when you're going out for dinner or and stuff like that. And it's something which we've always been aware of that quality time is everything, and we don't ever divert from that, Like if we go out for dinner,
Mm.
we just wouldn't have our phones on us. We wouldn't ever stare at our screens in front of each other. So yeah, it's a big one.
Yeah, I mean, I do that on first dates, put my phone away, but sadly, it's not always reciprocated. But I like that about you. Yeah, you both have to be on the same page for what you want out of life. Yeah, because obviously when you live abroad, you meet so many cool, interesting people. You want to spend time with them. But when it comes to a relationship, it's very hard, I find, to move forward, thinking very long term ahead. It could be like financial differences or just terms of approach. Are you a spender or a saver? What do you want to get out of life? Are you more family orientated? Are you more living for yourself orientated? Is there a particular country you want to live in? Where do you see yourself retiring? Um, yeah, that's definitely a thought I've had in recent times too. Have you? Yeah, recently I've been thinking about because I'm 33 now, 34. My birthday was this month. But I've been thinking about, do I want kids? Because we're both fans of the influencer James Smith, and he recently had a child. And before he had a child, I heard him say, "I wrote down all the list of reasons why to have a kid and why not to have a kid." And he thought to himself, I don't really, I think he wasn't really overly excited about it, but he came to the conclusion, am I more likely to regret not having kids than I am having kids? And he decided he would regret it more if he didn't, so he had a kid. For me, I think that's pretty much off the table now. There's a side of me that, especially being a teacher, there's a paternal side to me I've discovered. I do think I would be a good dad. But I think in this modern world, it's very hard to, there's so many factors into it. Which country do I want to live in? Which education system do I want to live in? Can my partner, sus- can we sustain each other for the next, 80 years? Falling birth rates for the school I work in even want to hire me in like 4 years. So I think practically it's become an impossibility. I like the idea of adopting when I'm more financially secure in later life. But again, many countries don't really like the single male foreigner just adopted a kid. But yeah, I'm curious, how's that conversation gone with you in your head with yourself?
Good question. Very good question. Again, going back to me and Fiona being on the same page, we both aren't that interested about having a kid, which I think if one of us was really like had stronger opinions the other way, it might change. But we're both not huge, on that. And I think for many reasons, one, I don't think I have the huge kind of pull to want to have a child. I also feel like, and I don't know if you can relate to this, but when you live abroad, you do live such a good life. If you had a child, without it coming across in a negative way, it would change your life so much.
Yeah.
So in a selfish way, which is technically unselfish because they're not going to have a kid on top of it. Yeah, I wouldn't want to change my life. And then I don't know if this is just like a bias, but when I actually stand back and look at the world as it is today, why would I want to bring a child into this world?
Mm.
The world's not in a good place. Why would I then want to put the child on this planet and then go, right, now you have to deal with this, however the world's going to look like in however many years? Now, I don't know if that just comes into my head because I'm like, I kind of don't want children. Then I can just be like, well, the
Mm.
world's shit. So why would I bring it in? I'm not sure. But how
Yeah.
do you feel about that?
The counterpoint to that would be, well, the world's always had problems. Now, I read an article
Yeah.
recently, like, that you are allowed to be happy. I used to be like, I used to tell myself, oh, how can I be happy when there's so much destruction and chaos and murder and death and destruction in the world? But that's always been there. I still think we have a duty to ourselves to find happiness and make the most of our time on earth. But yeah, back to having kids. Yeah, there is such a, especially when you live abroad, there is a huge lifestyle cost when you have a child. It means way less experiences, way less traveling. And yeah, I guess because I also feel like looking around all the people I've met who've lived abroad in recent years, very few of them do have children. I think when you do live abroad, it becomes very difficult to give up the kind of lifestyle that comes with it. Would you say that's the same for you?
Yeah. If I try and be as honest as possible, um, yeah, you would lose so much in your life. And could that be better because now you got a child? Yeah, maybe. And I think you do spend a lot of time with people who don't have kids. So I don't know if that's because the type of people who live abroad aren't really set on having kids as much. they're a bit different anyway because they've moved abroad. And are they a bit different in the sense they don't want kids? I don't know. Is it because we're just not surrounded by it? I think
Mm,
if all of your friends around you are having children, then you might, right? So it's hard to kind of pinpoint, but I don't know. Life abroad, this is generally speaking, is just a little bit better than living in the UK. And I think when you have so much purpose and enjoyment in your life, then having a kid doesn't always come to the front option. So yeah. And
I agree.
also I think maybe you feel like this. I think you're a well educated guy, you think a lot, you understand things. And I think if if you was going to have a child, then it would have to be with the right person. So
Mm,
not only do you need to then decide if you're going to change your life, you need to meet the perfect person to then have a child and bring up the child. The chances of all these things happening are so slim.
yeah, I agree.
Whereas if you didn't care, if you were just like, I'll just have a kid with anyone, it'd be easy, right? You just go and meet anyone.
Yeah,
So that's always been my mindset. Obviously, then meeting Fiona, that changed, but yeah,
yeah. That option of just of having a kid with just anyone is kind of there. I guess as a well-educated British man, sounds privileged, but yeah, it is there. Um, yeah, I think especially as millennials, we're quite aware of all kind of the effects of trauma passed down to us from previous generations. That's also a barrier. But I really recognize that point of where you say the chances of all this happening are quite slim. Dating apps are a mess. Living a transient lifestyle makes it very difficult to say, okay, this particular person in this one part of the world is definitely the right person for me. I just don't think that happens um, unless you really, really want to believe that will happen. There's so many
yeah,
practicalities that come with it. And I just think anyone who's especially university educated, traveling around the world, I don't see how your thought process leads you to deciding that.
agreed.
Yeah. Okay, we'll
But
move on to the.
I do like your point about adopting. That's definitely come into conversation when we've spoken about, well, what if we do regret it when we're you know a bit older, and the it's easy, you just adopt. That might sound like funny to some people, but I think it's such a nice thing to do. To If you then decide you want a child, to actually go and help someone,
Hmm,
I think it's a beautiful thing to do. So I do really like that element. And I think if we ever did get to a point where we did want children, then we would just, hopefully go and adopt. So yeah, it's good.
yeah, yeah. Because I said to my friend once, I think I want a child, but I don't really want to date anyone. And he answered back, well, how does that work? Yeah. Yeah. uh, well, yeah, we're going to move on to the end of the podcast now. Let's stop one of the closing topics. So yeah, social media is a tool for connection. I tried to, as part of my growth journey, I tried to reframe my own attitude to my social media use in recent years, hence the podcast and how I'm trying to be a bit more proactive in meeting people through social media, putting myself out there. But yeah, I guess beyond just finding new clients as part of your business, has it specifically helped you deepen your connection to the global fitness industry in ways that wouldn't be possible if you were a personal trainer in the UK, let's say?
Yeah, for sure. Um, I think like most people, we have a love hate relationship with social media. It can be a very negative, toxic place for sure. But in a business sense, without it, it would be very hard to do my job.
Mm,
Especially because a lot of my job is quite niched into like runners these days. So for me to actually find people, social media is the best place. So in terms of like business and growth and stuff, social media's given me that for sure. And the great thing about social media and being able to advertise and stuff like that, you can just pinpoint exactly where you want your clients to come from and you can get them from that place. So if the trail
mm,
running community is really big in Singapore, I can just put an ad in Singapore. If I want to get runners in Hong Kong, where the running community is big there, it's really easy for me to get runners from there. So in that sense of it, is unreal.
Yeah, I find that really like a nice thought that anywhere I go in the world, there's be a fitness community waiting for me that I can be a part of and meet people who like my values and as I try and improve myself. Uh, but yeah, who do you recommend people follow online these days? If someone says to you, Chris, I want to start filling my social media page up with more positive influences, who would be on the top of your list?
Oh, um, I feel like I'm actually out of the loop a little bit when it comes to like who we should be following online, because I actually don't really follow that many people or even like look on Instagram much anymore, which I shouldn't say because I want people to go on Instagram to follow me and stuff. But, let's be honest. Who would I? People like Peter Attia. Do you know him?
No, he's a new one. I'll check him out right after the show.
So he's a big science guy. He comes from that world, but he gives some really good quality information. And so I really like Peter Attia. Obviously, people like Zoe Fit and Ben are amazing. Ben
Mm.
Carpenter. They're both really, really good, both honest people, which I think is important in the fitness world. But I think, and you've obviously asked this question because it's good to pull out the good ones because there are so many bad people, or there's so many people out there
This is your
who
chance
are
to make waves, call out people if you feel so inclined.
get a nice soundbite. No, but I think the problem is with social media these days, and I've seen it with good people end up going down the bad route because
I
you
totally agree
need
with that.
bums on seats, you need eyes. So it's so much easier to make a negative post or say something controversial to pull people into your
Mm.
page. I even see it with a few of like the science guys who are actually doing the research. They post something and the caption will be maybe correct, but it won't really be exactly what the study's about. But you'll
Mm.
click on it and you'll have a good look through it, and then you'll realize that the caption isn't what it is. And this was a guy I
Yeah,
followed years ago who was amazing, and I just kind of lost a bit of trust in him because he's trying to get eyes, and I feel like it's hard these days to make a business online without being controversial, especially
yeah,
if
I
you're
get
trying
that.
to post to the masses because you need so many people in to then sell, where it just
Mm.
makes everyone a little bit shit in what they're trying to do. And that's something personally what I've tried to stay away from is just to try and be honest as possible, never go down that route. Mm.
Yeah, but I
But
think for me, it's
I'll have
part.
a good, sorry,
Please
carry on.
continue. Yeah.
I'll have a little look at who people should follow and I'll send them over. But off the top of my head, I can't really think of that that many people. Apart
That's
from
that.
Ben and Zoe, like I said, they're great.
Mm.
Peter Attia's good. Lane Norton's good, but even he can be a little
No, no.
bit maybe not for everyone. Yeah.
Yeah. I recommend Zoe and Ben. I follow them a lot. There's people like James Smith, Joe Delaney. I really like, but he can be again not for everyone. Mike Israel is good for a laugh, but again maybe not for everyone. Um, but yeah, the point. Yeah, I really like that point of how we kind of have like a social relationship with people you follow online, and it is quite sad when you see them take a turn for the worse. Um, yeah, I guess this made me think of a guy called Chris Broad. Discovered him when I was living in Japan. He runs a very successful YouTube channel. And yeah, I really like the way he conducts himself online. He's been doing it for like 10 years. He's never really, because Japan's a very hot topic now online with how many people are visiting there, the falling birth rates, over tourism, the cultural classes, and all that kind of stuff. But I think he's avoided descending into rage bait, let's say. But it's also a question like, you know, is a lot of eyes really a good thing? Like for me, I'm not looking to get famous for this podcast, but obviously there's a sense of, I want people to listen, I want people to watch. But I like the idea of like, just trying to use it as a tool to meet like-minded people and learn. I think that's a really healthy way to approach it. It'd be very easy for me to sit here, invite people on, try and stir the pot, again, to say something controversial, clip it, and then bracket the views that way. Doesn't really align with my values and what I'm trying to do here. But yeah, I think like yourself, you use social media as a tool to find clients and help people improve and stay up to date on information when you log in. But yeah, I think that's the healthiest approach I can think of on how to approach social media.
I think again, it always falls. I've obviously mentioned this a few times. It falls back to like, what are you trying to achieve? You know,
Mm,
and a lot of the people who are chucking out controversial posts and stuff, they are trying to get eyes. They're trying to get more followers, then to get into a funnel, and then to sell to them. That's what they're trying to do, and they will get as many people in as possible. And then you also have social media platforms where the numbers of followers you get just automatically means money, because
yeah, yeah.
the
Nice
views you
business
get
deal.
on, like, so even you might not even have a product to sell, but if you've got loads of followers on YouTube and loads of views, then you make money. So yeah, there's all that side, or companies will pay you X amount of money to then, post about their product. So people do want eyes. Me personally, I just want quality people to come in to the business or to my Instagram who are really
Mm,
interested in my business. I don't want loads of people, or my goal isn't to have loads of people in there just to be in there. I want people to come in there who are interested in running, and to then hopefully buy from me, or at least let me educate them.
mm.
So yeah, it's like slightly different approach, but it works, like I haven't got a huge amount of followers, but I got a good service. So yeah,
Mm.
getting people
Yeah.
into that is not always that difficult, to be honest.
You're not
So
looking
yeah,
to post hot takes and yeah, have people in your comments calling you a fraud.
yeah. Like imagine being like really, really popular and you've got, hundreds of thousands of followers, and just the amount of shit you get for that. I could be dealing with that.
Yeah, I'm not really interested in reading stuff like that. Hopefully that'll never happen. But
Yeah.
yeah, final question before we move into the closing questions I ask everyone on this podcast. Yeah, for me, as someone who's known you a really long time, it's really interested to see you develop yourself and your business and your lifestyle. Uh, yeah, I think you've achieved a remarkable level of stuff. You're very independent abroad. But yeah, I guess we're both growth orientated. We're both fitness interested in fitness. For someone like you who operates in a field of perpetually trying to self improve, how do you handle trying to always want to improve between a mindset that demands constant growth? You mentioned before feeling that you finally arrived and what you have is already enough. How do you balance that in your head with I am enough as I am and I need to be better and better and better?
Good question. Again, I just think it comes down to working out your purpose and what you want. And I think it's taken a long time for me to feel comfortable, but personally, for like health and fitness and stuff, the amount of muscle I've got, how fast I can run, all this stuff doesn't really, I don't need to be improving these parameters. Like they can
Mm,
just stay, they can just tick along. So, and once you get to that place, especially with your health and fitness, then you do become a bit more free, because I'm like, I just have to go to the gym this many times. I have to go on my walks, and that gets ticked off. Do I push myself in the gym sometimes? Do I have to? No, like a bit, like not as much as I maybe used to, but just enough to be where I want to be today. That
mm,
might change if there's a competition or a race or something I might enter and I have to crank the gears up a bit. But what I do day to day is enough, and I don't have to improve.
mm.
In the business
Yeah.
sense, it's maybe the opposite. Like the business needs to improve. I have to put a bit more time and effort and grind the gears a little bit more. But in terms of health and stuff and where I am, maybe it's the age I've gotten to, but I can just be happy with that now.
Mm. Yeah.
I know
So
who I am. I'm not gonna and step on the beach with abs, maybe for a week, a year. But apart from that, it's just not really something which I'm that bothered about. So I don't have to chase that. So that's a
yeah.
good place to get to. But I do feel like that comes with a bit of maturity, I suppose.
maturity and hard work and lots of introspection. Yeah,
Yeah, and
I think you're.
also just sorry, just like 20 years of doing the basics, that's what it comes down to. Because then you're not chasing things as much. It's just a cog ticking.
Mhm.
So yeah,
Yeah, well done on all your hard work. It's great to see you taking
thank you
along.
very much.
So we're going to move into the final two questions I ask everyone on this podcast. The first question is the one place you've traveled to that you feel is a non-negotiable experience for everyone on the planet. Where would you recommend everyone to head to once in their life?
That's a good question. So this is quite a difficult one to answer because when I traveled to this place, it was 10 years ago. And I feel like, and I don't know, if you then go there now, it might be a slightly different experience. But that was the Komodo Island tour in Indonesia, where you fly into the airport there. And then we was on a boat, just two of us, and you just sail around Komodo Island, Rinka Island, go onto Komodo, see the dragons, snorkel, and it was just unreal. There was no one around, everything felt empty. Whereas I feel like now it's maybe a little bit different to that.
Yeah, Bali has undergone some major changes. Well, Indonesia across all. But yeah, good choice, good choice. And the last question will be, what would you say to the younger version of yourself right before he left the UK for the very first time?
Like everything will be all right.
Yeah, it all
You'll
works out
go,
in the end.
you'll go through times where you won't be enjoying yourself or whatever, but it will always be fine. That would be
Cool.
my yeah, and that would be
That's very good advice.
is you're gonna
And
be all right.
you're going to be all right. Finally, for those who want to follow your journey some more and connect with the work you're doing, where could people find you online?
So I have two Instagram accounts. I have one which is specific to runners called Strength Coach for Runners. And then I have another Instagram account which is Coach Chris Loft. And then I have a website which is coach-chris.co.uk. So yeah. So if you're a runner, Strength Coach for Runners. If you're not, you just kind of want to follow me and watch my boring walks in the morning, then Coach Chris Loft is the one.
Thank you very much for joining the podcast today, Chris. Keep in touch and
Thank
I
you,
hope
mate.
you stay well, man. Cheers.
Been a pleasure. Take care.